Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Firestarter Graphics and Engineering. This will be the first of a few tutorials on how to use Google Sketchup to make this little fancy part that you can either 3D print or take to a machinist to have them machine this block for you. The function of this block, I have no idea what it does. It was just something that was created to show examples of how to extrude, cut holes, and do countersinks on the holes in Google SketchUp. And even though this has a little bit of weird geometry, that's alright. And also how to read working drawings, because we're only going to create this from 2D drawings, as in these right here. This is all we have to work with. And how to do the math to figure out things that we necessarily don't have, that are not listed, and what to do. So be sure to put on your trigonometry and geometry thinking hats, because you might need a little bit of it. With that said, the first thing that you should go and study is the 45-45-90 triangle and Pythagorean theorem. And if you know that, then this lesson is going to be a cinch. Okay, first and foremost, when you first open Google SketchUp, this is what we get. So we get our tools across the top. These are not all of them. These are just basic introduction, most common tools that each user uses. So orbit, you click it, this is what spins you around. Pan is this. Now the beauty of it is there's hotkeys for each one of these. If you middle mouse click, that is orbit. Now if you do shift middle mouse click, that's pan. If you control middle mouse click, it's a different style of orbit. That will help. So let's begin by looking at our part. So this is our part. It's a beautiful part. Let's zoom in. So this is what we have to work with right here. Now to me it looks easiest to start from this shape. Why is that? Because I can draw this with pencil and then extrude it out and then remove bits and pieces as need be. And if you don't get what I mean, follow along and it'll make sense. So first things to notice, see how this is 4 inches from top of the part to the bottom, and then from this corner of the origin to here's 3.5. Those are important. And then it says this is 45-degree angle, and it says from here to here is 1.5 inches. Okay, so in SketchUp or any other 3D program, this is the origin. This is where we always want to start. Always start from the origin, because you need to know where you are in 3 space. Okay, whoops, let's go back. Okay, so you may say, hey, this is 1.5 inches right here, but what's this length? Well, the beauty of a 45-45-90 is this length is equal to this length, so this is naturally 1.5 inches. And with a standard 45-45-90, both sides are 1, so you have a 1, 1, and then the hypotenuse. Now, the hypotenuse is always the square root of 2 times the length of one of those legs. So for example, if your legs were 2, it would be 2, 2, and then the hypotenuse is 2 times root 2. So naturally with just 1, it's 1, 1, then 1 times the square root of 2, or just root 2. So in our case, it's this length right here is going to be, this is 1.5 by 1.5 by 1.5 times the square root of 2. If you use a calculator, you can get a decimal approximation. Now this line is also parallel to this, which means it's 45 degrees. So if we know from here to here's 1 inch, then we know from here to here's 1 inch, which means 1, 1, and that this length is the square root of 2, which is 1.414. Now if you don't believe me, when we draw this, I'll show you multiple ways to draw it, and it all works out. It's actually really, really cool. So without further ado, let's get going. So When you first open Sketchup, you're going to be in the isometric view. If you do not have these pictures of the houses up here, get them up there. How you do is right click on empty space, click on views, and it will add them. You want them. This is what helps us stay organized. Camera, you can either turn on perspective or off. What it does is, depending on which view you're in, sometimes, like if we go to the front view, I don't know if this one will do it as it's recording. No, it won't. You can't see it. But what it does is, in perspective, yours might do it. 2018 might have, 2017 of SketchUp might do it a little different. But let me rotate. It will show this little line right here. But let's begin. Okay, so first thing we want to do, L for our line tool, and we want to go up 4 inches and then 3.5, and then we'll stop right there. So click once in the origin, and if you go up you can't see anything, but if you move over you can see your pencil. But if you're on the blue axis, it infers and says we want to stay on the blue axis, which we do. Bottom right hand corner, notice how everything is in fractions. I don't like that. I work with decimals, even though fractions are way more accurate, but let's change that. So hit escape. Spacebar goes back to select. You don't necessarily need to do that, but if you go up to window, model info, notice the format for units is fractional. Change it to decimal. And precision, you don't need that high. I mean, we're not Audi engineering, for crying out loud. Today we're just messing around. So put it to 3 decimal places. Angle snapping, you do want every 15 degrees is good. If you're working with projects that are requiring increments, you can adjust this, but I'm going to keep it at 15. That's with the use of the protractor, which I'll show you how to use. So go ahead and hit close. I'm going to double check it just to make sure that it saved it, and it did. Okay, so line tool. Click once in the origin, automatically snaps there. Lift up, bottom right hand corner, you can see those numbers moving. Those are your lengths or your distances. So we're going to hit 4.00 on the keyboard and hit enter. And notice it's way down there, so zoom in with your mouse button until you get there. Okay, so after you click once or hit enter, it thinks that you want to draw another line. If you don't, just hit escape. Okay, bottom again. This time we're going out 3.500. There we go. Okay, so we have this and this. Let's work on this one. So we're going to go up an inch, and we're going to wait for a moment. We don't know this length. We can't assume it's the same length as this, which is 3/4 of an inch. And the reason why we can't assume is, notice this is 1.75 and this is 2. But even though there's probably symmetry around the center line, you never want to assume unless you can prove it with math, and then you're good. So we need to go 1 inch from right here, 1.00. Notice how it's that blue line. It tells me it's following that blue axis, which is our y-axis, and it's going to be parallel to it. So there we go. Okay, now we're going to do this one. We know this is 1 inch, and this is a drop of 1 inch because it's a total height of 4, and this point is 3 inches. So a total height of 1 and a total of 0.75. So let's at least get that. So 1.00, then down 1.00, and then over 0.750. Okay. Now, a minute ago, you heard me explain that this is 45 degrees. So if this is an inch, this is an inch, this is 1.414. So I'm going to prove that. So, we need a guide for 45 degrees. So, if you go up to Tools and hit Protractor, click once to nail it down to the board, click one more time to find our reference line. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, there it is. So red axis, blue axis means our reference point is going to be, our 0 degrees is the blue line. We want 0 degrees to be the red line. So click it again. Okay, now we can start turning. So 0 degrees, 90, 180, and that's, so right here, negative 30 technically, and then right here is negative 45 or 45. I'm going to click it once. So that's how we can get an angle. So hit L. Now start right here. I said 1.414. Hit enter. Okay. Now let's look at our picture. We know the drop from here to here is 1 inch. So let's at least do that. Drop straight down, 1.00. Okay. And now we can go straight over. Oh, and look, it is symmetrical, so it is 1/4 inch. And there's our shape. We're almost done. We just need to worry about this section. So hit T for the tape measure. This is a handy tool. We know from here to here is 1.500. Leaves a little tick mark, if you can see it right here, right above the tape measure. So what you could do is either put a tick mark here or up here, use the protractor to make a line, and then draw a line with your pencil tool. I find it easier just to go like that, line, play a game and connect the dots. There we go. Hit E for eraser, left click and drag, and whatever's in blue is going to be erased. Get rid of our guide. Okay, basic shape. That's what we want. Okay, here comes the fun part. Hit P for push or pull. This is what causes the extrusion to happen. Now, I don't know if this print shows it, but it shows a center line here and here, and that it's a total width of 3 inches. So, and it shows, I think, yes, and this is the origin. So they did an extrude along the mid plane, which means half of it went this direction and half went this direction. So Sketchup can do that. So turn it to this side, and then put your push-pull tool over it. Notice it gets highlighted with the dots. Pull it a little bit and type in 1.500. Hit enter. Moves it. Swing to the next side. Do the same thing. Just drag it a little bit, and then stop holding left click and hit 1.550. Let me show you that again. When you hover over a surface, left click once, drag just a little bit, let go, and if you hit enter, it'll keep that current 0.383 inch, but if you actually type in something and then hit enter, it'll adjust. Okay, beautiful. See? Look at that. Okay, we're almost done. Time for hole placement. So, center line, it looks like they're symmetric about the center line. Can't assume that this is the dead center of this square, so we're going to have to draw, at least they give us dimensions and how far the centers are apart. So 0.707 from that bottom line up, and then, okay, so this is 1.5 inches between centers, and I know the full width is 3, so that means there's 1.5 inches left to be divided up equally from here to here and here to here, which means that it is 3/4 inch from this center to this wall. Let me explain that again. From this center to this center is 1.5 inches. Total width is 3 inches. 3 inches minus the 1.5 inches is another 1.5 inches. That 1.5 inches must be divided up equally from this point to here for the first circle and the center of the second to the wall. So 1.5 inches divided by 2, 3/4 inch. Okay, just making sure. Alright, so hit L for line, because I'm going to show you what I like to do. Actually, I'll show you first with the tape, and then show you why I use pencil marks. So tape measure. Click right here where it shows the X, that's midpoint, and then go down to the blue, which is midpoint, and okay. So now if I hit L for line, notice there's no other snaps in here. I don't like that. I like to find midpoints of everything, so I'm going to get rid of this and do a line instead of a tape measure. Okay, now watch. I come up here. Oh look, it just found the midpoint of this little square. Okay. Now I'm going to go all the way across. Okay. Hit C for circle. Shows that our diameters are 1/2 an inch. Now Sketchup does circles with radiuses, so that needs to be 0.25. Hit enter. Snap to the middle. Type in 0.25. Hit enter. Hit E for erase. Left click and drag. Anything in blue gets deleted. Get rid of our center lines. Perfect. Okay. Almost done. We need to make a countersink. So in order to do that, this hole is going to go all the way through, but we need an edge around it that's going to stay above it. A countersink is a little angled portion where the screw head or bolt head, when it slides in, can lay flush with the face. So hit F for offset, click the circle once, and we want 1/32 of an inch. I need to find that in decimal. 1 divided by 32 is 0.03125. Hit enter. Do it again here. 0.03125. Hit enter. Perfect. Okay, we're almost done. Now this is the trickiest part. Actually, the countersink's the trickiest. That's next. So hit P for push or pull. We want to push this all the way through. So what I do, instead of trying to guess the depth, I highlight it until I see the little dots and I push down. Then I take my other fingers, I'm still holding left click, and I swing the camera around so I can see, and then if I bring it through, that's good. But if you hold it until you see that little blue dot that says on face, that means it brings it to the face. Let go, cuts the hole perfectly. So do the same thing with this. On face. Okay. Now, so what a countersink's kind of going to look like is if we take this down, see how a screw could fit in there and it would be nice and flush. However, screws are not completely flat, they're angled, so we need to angle that like a cone. So what I want you to do, and we need a guide to be able to do that, we're going to use the move tool. One of the modifiers of the move tool is if you hold Alt, it does a cone shape. It's called a fold, which will fold it down into a cone with a circle particularly. So if you go view, hidden geometry, okay, make sure there's no double lines, because if there is, then you have to redo the circles. It can get tricky. Hit the tape measure, pick the center one, click it twice, and that gives us a guide to follow, and you'll see what I mean. Hit spacebar, select, click on this inner circle, hold Control, and see how the little plus sign shows up by the mouse cursor? That means you're going to add more entities. Click. Now that one is selected. Hit M for move, click on where it intersects that guideline and click it once. Hold, now make sure it's the little red dot where it shows online. Hold Alt and then move. If you're doing it right, I want to show you. Come on. I have to move. Okay, there we go. Notice how it shows the cones being made right there. But we want that in the opposite direction. So, still holding Alt, drop. And this is where it gets a little tricky. You might have to zoom in to stay on that guide. Okay. And then we just click where we want it. Now, where do we want it? That's a great question. Let me hit escape and we'll do this all over again. But we need to check our drawing. It says, I got to find it right here. It says 4 of them. That means the bottoms are going to be countersunk. We're not going to countersink the bottoms, just the tops. At 0.060 inches at 45 degrees. We can't control the angle in SketchUp as of yet. Now, there probably is a way to do this at a specified angle. It might be a little trickier, but as of right now, for intensive purposes, this is how you can countersink for certain things. So, 0.60. Okay. So, M is highlighted. Click it right here. Hit Alt. Go down. Oh, you can actually let go of Alt once it's clicked. Okay, make sure it still says online, and then type in 0.060, hit enter. Okay, and then it brings it down. Hit spacebar to get back to select, hit E to erase that guide, go back to view, hidden geometry, and there you go. See the little, how it's angled? Yeah, it's nice and pretty. Okay, just 2 things left, and that is the cuts up here. So it tells us that each cut is symmetric about the center line. Both of them are, let's see how it says 2x, 2 times. Each one is 1.25 inches, and then this one's 2.25 inches from this line up here and there. Okay, so 1/4 inch by 1 1/4. Okay, so, whoops. I'm having a hard time getting the view I want. What if I click top? Oh, okay, that's good enough. So hit L for line, get our center lines created, or construction lines. Like that. Okay. Tape measure. So we know it's going to be from this point to here is half of 1.25. So 1.25 divided by 2, I don't want to do it in my head. 0.625. Hit enter. Do it again. 0.625. Hit enter. Did it do it? No, it put it in the wrong direction. Make sure you don't move your mouse. I wasn't paying attention. There we go. Now, from right here, click once and move up 0.25, hit enter. Now we got some guides. Hit R for rectangle, start up here, play connect the dots. So click once here and then finish up here. Click, you're done. Erase tool, Control Z, erase tool to erase that and that. Swing it around a little bit. P for push pull. Drag down the surface until it's perpendicular with that. E to erase our guides. There we go. Okay. Same thing for this. L, middle point, middle point, midpoint, midpoint. T, 0.625 that direction. 0.25 that direction. 0.625 that direction. R for rectangle. Play connect the dots. E to get rid of anything we don't need. Push pull. Come down here. E to get rid of this and that. And look, our part is made. Now you'll see these little tick marks here, here, and some along there. Those are our guides. Those are little tape measures. To get rid of those, just hit view, guides and they disappear. So let's finish up by giving it a little color. Click the paint bucket. Notice this menu shows up. Some other tools, this menu shows up as well. If you scroll down, it shows you how to use it, and also modifier keys. So if I hold shift and left click, it's going to paint all surfaces the same color. So I'm in metal. I want to go to stone. I'm going to hold shift click. That is terribly ugly. Wow. Okay. That's a little better. I'm really looking for like a rust color. That's ugly too. However, for intents and purposes, let's or bronze. Bronze would be really cool. What's this? Rusted? Sure, that looks cool. And then let's give a little bit of aluminum in here, here, whoops, here, here, and here. Okay, so that is our tool, or our part. Look at that. Pretty nifty, huh? Well, that's it, guys. That's how you can take 2D drawings, do some basic trigonometry or geometry to figure out angles, missing lengths, and a dimension, and then take hardly any information that we don't have and create something cool like this. Now you can save it, import it into a 3D printer program, and print it. So, without any further ado, guys, that's it for this. Next time I'll show you how to take this part, put it into layout, and create blueprints for it. I am using SketchUp Pro 2017. Now this can be done in the free version, however the only thing you can't do is layout, which is a shame, but I understand why. Layout's a very nice feature to have. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and next time we will be making something a little bit more complicated where I'll show you how to use, in fact, let's see if I can open it. It's this key right here. Oh, fantastic. Let's see. Close that window. Okay, give it a second to load. There it is. So this key is not made how you think it would be with drawing curves and stuff. There's actually a circle that's up here that comes down here. There's a bunch of circles. Then I copied it and mirrored it, and then, but that's another video. We'll do that next time. Anyways, thank you for watching, and enjoy your time with SketchUp.